It's Greg Burdine, and we're in Route 66, and we're just moving right along. We're day number 303. We're in Luke chapter 19 and 20, and we've got some good. I love Luke. Luke just tells lots and lots of stories of Jesus. So Luke chapter 19 opens up with the story of Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and even though he was a small man in stature, he was a powerful man. But he wanted to see Jesus, and Jesus came to his house and changed his life, and that's what Jesus wants to do with everybody. The parable of the 10 talents and what they did with those, the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, and they hailed him as the king, and Jesus wept over Jerusalem because he knew that even though many accepted him as their king, they would turn on him in a dime, and he would be crucified before the end of the week. And he cleared the temple of some of the people that were abusing the temple and not allowing people to come in and worship God the way that God wanted them to do that. And then Luke chapter 20, the religious leaders began to challenge Jesus on some things. He came, now he's on their turf. He's in Jerusalem, and they talked to him about authority. They talked to him about asking questions about taxes, about the resurrection. And Jesus flipped it and talked about David's son and what David said about his son being his Lord and how can that work. And actually, Jesus was David's descendant, and yet he was David's Lord even then. And it just showed that they wanted to trap him. And Jesus evaded every single question they have with so much wisdom. It revealed the hardness of their heart. They would not accept Jesus as their prince. Oh, and that's what he said back in Luke 19. Had you known, if you'd have realized this opportunity, but they didn't. They just wanted to get rid of Jesus. So some lessons from these two chapters. One, salvation transforms everyday life, just like Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was just a normal guy and powerful and rich, and he had everything that the world thought to offer. But when he repented and turned from where he was going and the bad things he was doing, God blessed him, and things were good. Salvation can change anybody. That's great. Second lesson, Jesus is the king. Even though people reject him, Jesus is still the king. His kingship demands a response. And some people accept him, and some people don't. But regardless, whether you accept him or not, doesn't change who he is. Jesus is the king. And a third lesson, Scripture reveals Jesus' authority. Every question ultimately points to Jesus. Jesus is the center of everything. And they questioned him and questioned him and questioned him, and Jesus had an answer for everything. Jesus is the answer for every question that's on our heart. We may not get the answer to our question, but when we have Jesus, we don't need to know all the answers because we've got him. God bless you. Enjoy your day today.